So we are recording. Just wanted to let everybody know that. I have to officially let everybody know that. Wait, got to let some people in here. All right. So just wanted to welcome everybody here to the second PTO meeting of the 21-22 year, the school year. I'm Brian Sinkoff, Vice President, the Bethlehem Middle School PTO. We do have a few executive board members here with us, which we'll go through in just a minute. CC, our president, is unable to be here tonight, so I'm going to be running this meeting. And if you have any questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to either raise your hand virtually or, call out, and I'll try to see if try to answer your question as best as I can. So we're going to just get started. We're going to get to Kevin Conrad in just a few minutes. If you're joining us, thank you again so much for joining us. Kevin Conrad of Marvel Comics, DC Comics is going to be with us. If you are there, I'm going to have to ask you to mute your mic. If you do have any questions, you can unmute it. But for now, we're just going to have muted mics. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. So first thing is on the agenda. Our last PTO meeting was September the 20th, which was our first PTO meeting of the year. We are going to I'm going to get in. I'm going to share those minutes with you. And they are posted on our website. Can everyone see that? If you can just give me a head nod or a yes or a thumbs up. Okay, you got them, Kristen? Okay. So these are the minutes from back in September. I'm going to quickly highlight it. We voted on we approved the board minutes from May. And I'm letting everyone in. I'm sorry. We voted on the board minutes from May. We introduced the executive board for the 21-22 campaign school year. We also the budget was reviewed, voted for approval. We approved the budget. We talked about the hospitality and that there wasn't going to be any in-person events at that time. So that we talked about. We had a welcome back for the teacher and the staff, the breakfast. We are going to have an end of the year. We're going to have an end of the year event for them as well, for the teachers and support staff in the school. And we'll talk about it as we get closer to it. We had 3 levels of membership this year: bronze, silver, and gold. We had a great membership drive. Again, if you're just joining me, I'm just looking back at the minutes from the September meeting. We did have the guest speaker, Miss Isabel Morgan, licensed mental health counselor, and she talked about the transition from online learning to in-person learning, since most of our kids were only either part-time or not in school at all last year. We talked about that transition. And then we did have our Title I presentation. So I do need a vote to approve those minutes. Kristen, you do? Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, Kotun seconds those minutes. Perfect. Now we can stop sharing that and we can move on to the agenda here for tonight. If you give me a second. I've got to admit more people. My mistake. I'm doing 27 things at once here. All right, let me get that out of the way. Okay. Real quickly, I want to give you some quick hitters from the year. This is as we're getting into this year's order of business here. We had the feast raiser. It was a huge success. You'll recall we did that right around the holiday time, right at Thanksgiving. Donated over $1,000 of gift cards to the Caring and Sharing program. We want to thank you on behalf of the Bethlehem Middle School PTO. Thank you so much for your support. Excuse me. Next week, we're going to resume our monthly student contest. You recall, if you had a middle schooler last year, we did that every month, where Stewart ice cream was up for grabs. That's going to be up for grabs as well. We're going to send out more information over the next week or so. We had a bunch of events in this crazy time of COVID. We still had a bunch of events, of course, off-site back on October 27th, Bethlehem Middle School Movie Night at the Jericho Drive-In, which I believe was Adam's Family 2. Over 100 cars attended, so thank you so much. Members were free. So that was one of the benefits of being a PTO member. December 29th, the ice skating event, which was during that holiday vacation time. It was at the YMCA. 90 students attended. We bought the entire ice rink which was $300, which was paid for by the PTO. Thank you, PTO. Thank you, us. Thank you, you. Next event's going to be in February. More details to come. So even though it's a crazy time for COVID, we are trying to get some social interaction as best we can, as safely as can, given all of those parameters. Don't forget to pick up previously ordered spiritware items from Sawyer's. They still have the items in their shop from from October. And remember, Sawyer's, you're going to pick them up at Sawyer's. They're not at the school. You're going to go directly to Sawyer's. Questions, comments, you can message us. Me or one of the other PTO members, executive members, will direct you as to where to go for Sawyer's. Budget, it's currently, it's balanced. Our current income is going to exceed expenses. Let's give a clap or a theater clap or a golf clap on that. We have not reached our budget goals yet. We're going to continue to proceed as previously planned. Two more things, and then we're going to get to Kevin, because I know you're all itching to get to Kevin. The PTO has paid for scarecrows, the holiday gift fund, COVID supplies to nurses' office, both water and masks, and student in need fund is available to any BCMS family. You can reach out to the guidance or the nurse's office. Okay, so I think I've covered everything. Kristen, are you going to just give me a nod and say I've covered everything? All right, thank you. Let me let some more people in here. All right, so before we begin, I want to just let you know that if you have not purchased, before we begin, Kevin, that is, if you have not purchased raffle tickets and you want to purchase a raffle ticket, I'm leaving the store open for you to get those raffle tickets. Let me explain what exactly, a lot of people were confused. Let me explain what the raffle ticket is. Kevin Conrad, Marvel DC Comics artist, is going to be on with us. We are going to be doing a spin on a virtual spinning wheel, picking winners. Those winners will be contacted. We'll put you in touch with Kevin. You could talk about what your child, what your middle schooler, what superhero they want to be with. Kevin will actually draw you with your superhero. And here is an example of what I mean by that. There is Zach, my son, who's an 8th grader. This is him 4 years ago with Flash. So Kevin will actually put your kid with their favorite superhero. This was done in 2017. So that's kind of what we're auctioning off here. And that will be done at the end of the program. All right. So with that being said, doing a million things. All right. With that being said, someone wants the store link. Let me give you the store link. Let me bring on Kevin as well. Kevin, if you want to have
Ryan,
this time to unmute yourself and
Ryan,
bring yourself on camera. I don't know if someone is talking. Is someone
Ryan,
speaking?
that's Kristen. I'm offering to do the link for you if you want to continue.
Oh, yeah, put the link. Yes, thank you. Give him the link.
Will do. Give me just a second.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, let's bring on Kevin. Kevin Conrad is here. Kevin, welcome to the BCMS PTO meeting. It's a pleasure having you back.
Hello again. How are you?
Good, good. For those watching here at home, if you put your Zoom on speaker, that way you'll only see either Kevin or I or whoever is asking a question, and it will make obviously the main page the main viewing section much better. Kevin, thanks again for joining us. We do appreciate it, and we appreciate you sitting through some of our PTO business as we get started here. What's going on, my man?
Revealing all the secrets of the Bethlehem PTO.
Yes, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. All right. So, Kevin, you were a DC Comics, Marvel Comics. I'll give you a little quick intro bio. An inker for Marvel, DC. You did Todd McFarlane's Spawn series. You did Kiss Psycho Circus. You worked on X-Men, X-Force, Justice League, Teen Titans, Hulk, Gambit and the Externals, and Cable, to name a few. You went to Sage College, a local guy and a Schenectady native. And You have been doing comics for a long, long time. Let's ask the main question. How on earth did you get into this?
All right. Well, I'm trying to make a long story pretty short, but no, I've been drawing all my life. All I wanted to do was work in comics. I don't remember never having a pencil in my hand. I started submitting samples to Marvel probably when I was in my late teens with another friend of mine who was very well known in the industry, Greg Capullo. We grew up together in the Schenectady school system. He's a year younger than me. And we became friends. We actually knew of each other in junior high. We met each other in high school in art classes because they started combining grades. We became really close friends, bandmates. We were in bands together, and the two of us would go down by train to the Marvel on Broadway when they were on Broadway, in New York City with our samples. And I got sidetracked because I went to Sage College, and I got a 2-year degree there in commercial art, and I started shopping around. And I started getting work immediately, so I started making myself a name locally as a commercial artist, and I sort of fell out of the comic thing for a while, and he kept trying, and he finally got in, and I just saw the success he was having. Years later, I was probably doing commercial art for about 10 years. And it was like, man, I said, I really want a piece of this. And honestly, the reason why I got in and is really all due to Greg, because he gave me some of his pencils. I Xerox copies of them. I literally light boxed those in an inking style that was, popular at the time at Marvel. And he just put those samples in with his pages in FedEx, and his editor was like, who inked these? And he goes, oh, my buddy Kevin did. That's all it took. And I started getting work on X-Force. And
what year was that, Kevin? When was that?
That was 1993.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so that was it. That's all it took. And from there, I just ran with it, ran with the ball. I wanted to be a penciler in comics. I ended up getting work on a lot of books with pencilers who needed help, where I would be doing redraws, that type of stuff. And but that wasn't really what I wanted to be with a really established penciler. And I got some really good gigs, X-Force as a full-time book for a period of time, Teen Titans as a full-time book, Kiss Psycho Circus as a full-time book. There was a bunch, that really, elevated me, in the industry. I got really lucky and really fortunate. And I'm grateful for the time I had.
And Kevin Caputo, for those that maybe don't know,
Greg Capullo.
Greg Capullo. For those that don't know, Greg Caputo is sort of the boss. I don't want to say the boss is Greg Caputo of DC Comics, but he's sort of the Kevin Feige on the Marvel side. He's that for DC Comics.
I think, are you referring to Jeff Johns?
No. Well, Jeff Johns as well, but Kevin for comics is like the Kevin Feige of the comic division of DC Comics.
Oh yeah, Greg is a penciler, doing very well. He's got a bunch of he had some projects with some really high-end, high-profile writers as well that he's done. He's doing Batman now. I believe he's still doing Batman and making quite a name for himself.
All right, so let me pull something up here. I'm going to pull up something that you said you started when you were very, very young.
Yeah.
Here is, if everyone can see this. Can you see this, Kevin? I can't see you. Okay.
Yep.
So tell us about this. This was you at how old?
16, I believe. I said, yeah, I wrote it on there. 16 years old. 16
years old. That was one of your first. Obviously not your first piece of art.
No, absolutely not. Can you blow that up a little bit, Brian?
Yeah, sure. Yep. There you go.
I was still working on my signature. My signature is actually pretty close to what you see on the right.
Daddy, you want to see his work at 16 years old?
We need you to, everyone, if you wouldn't mind muting your mic, that would be great. We'll have a chance to ask questions later. But yeah, that's you at 16, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let's go through some stuff. You got a big break from your buddy.
Yeah.
You were into comics as a kid, of course. You had to
Always.
be, right?
Yeah, always. Yeah. I have all my work, I got a notebook full of drawings I did back when I was a kid. Superheroes.
Your first gig was what? Was that
X-Force. Yeah.
that was X-Force.
Yeah.
So you send he helps you send your stuff in. Next thing you know, you're doing X-Force. Like, how long after that was it?
It was literally probably a couple weeks. And I was inking, he had a regular inker. But I gave, they were giving me
let me get some X-Force.
Filling pages on his books. So I really started out inking Greg on X-Force and just moved from there. He had a regular inker, but I was doing a handful of pages over him here and there, and it just blew up for me, man. It really did. I got really lucky. I worked very hard at it, and it was almost like on the job training too, because I was really green. Some of these things that you're going to show, I'll put on a good poker face, but I wince when I look at them now. But but you know what? It's my history. It's how I got in, and I'm proud of it. So.
And there's nothing. I mean, it's still amazing, and I think you probably grow like anyone, right? You grow as an artist.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kevin, you say you're an inker. For those, we're the layman in terms of art. We just see a comic book. Take us through exactly what it takes to, we're looking at this X-Force cover that you did.
Right.
Take us through what goes into this in terms of someone, you explain how this gets done from concept to finished product.
Yeah. So, there's, with covers, they generally, with Marvel anyway, they would, it would have to relate to what the story's about on the interior. But they really pretty much gave the pencilers full reign on what to do. Some editorial decisions have to be made for sure. So, and a lot of times, if you got a good working relationship with the penciler, we bounce ideas off of each other too for the covers. And, the pencil will pencil the cover. All you see is a graphite, and I ultimately would get that pencil piece. I would finish that pencil piece in black ink. I would add whatever I needed to add to make that piece pop. Sometimes doing redraws also on, not the entire cover, but, fixes here and there, make something work that didn't quite work. Sometimes by the request of the penciler, sometimes by the request of the editor, and sometimes simply because I didn't really care for what I saw on the page. So
you get the pencil as the inker, and then you sort of clean that up, correct?
I would get the pencils from the
right.
pencil, and I would take those pencils. Sometimes, more times than not, it was not redrawing anything, but it was just putting my spin and my twist on what's on the paper, and ultimately it would be a black and white piece. And from that black and white piece that's inked now, it would go to a colorist, and the colorist would actually finish the piece. And then of course you have the letterer, and that kind of thing as well.
So I'm looking at this cover right here, and we're looking at it. It gets to my home or my comic shop or whatever. 4 or 5 people have touched this cover, correct? It could be.
Minimum. Well, I mean, in this case here, a minimum of 3. Yeah.
Right.
Penciler, the inker, and the colorist. Yeah. And then, yes, all the type, the copy on the cover, it's all done on overlays. It's not, this day, because it's all digital, the copy now. So the artwork is untouched. In the old days, all that stuff would be done right on the cover.
Wow.
Either pasted on or literally lettered right on the artwork.
Kevin, let's go through some of these real quick, because I do want to show the people some of this stuff. This is actually, tell the story of this, because this is like national. This is, tell us this story. Obviously, Superman 9/11. Yeah. Taking out one of the heroes. The first responders.
Yes. So I was working for DC at the time when 9/11 happened, And both Marvel and DC, and I'm sure Dark Horse, other comic imprints probably did the same thing, but I know Marvel and DC did, and they were putting out tribute compilations by their artists. And I submitted this piece to DC, shortly after that 9/11, and they absolutely loved it. But they got so many submissions from so many artists that worked for them, they had to narrow it down at that time to just artists who were on full-time books, like a monthly book, like Action Comics, or a Batman or something like that, where it's the artist would be working on that every single issue every month of the year. And I was not at that time. I was sort of like a pinch hitter. I was working my butt off. I was working more hours than probably if I had a full-time book. But so they unfortunately didn't take it, but it just took off. I mean, it's like if you do a Google search, even to this day, we're talking 20 years, 21 years later, if for Superman 9/11, this is probably the first, if not the second Google search, in the search engine. And I did a limited run of prints of this and donated the money to a 9/11 fund back at that time. And I get a lot of requests for this piece for prints. And as tempting as it would be to get it out there, I just, I can't in good conscience do it, because, I don't want it to be like it's not a marketing thing. It was something that really from the heart, came from my heart, and I just don't want to see it get overly mass produced or something like that. As it is, other people have taken my art, so-called artists, and swiped it and did their own thing and added their own backgrounds and stuff. And it's not a lot you can do about that, but I was the first. That was my piece, and it's all over the world, really.
If we can get anyone out there listening to mute your mic, that would be appreciated. We're hearing some noise. Thank you. Let me go through some of your, all right, this is sort of the stuff you've created, not in any comic book, but this looks like a COVID ward, right? A COVID ward, clearly not. A sick bay with Superman on the right hanging out going, what are you all doing? But tell us about this one. This is one of my favorite pieces of yours.
This is such a popular piece, and I did this so long ago, and my pencils, my inks, local friend of mine colored it. And this was really, I did this for a doctor's office here in Glenville. And her name, the doctor's office, is right there in the middle of the frame.
Yep, right here.
Yeah, and her husband had commissioned me to do it as a birthday present or something for her. And he didn't give me any real guidance, except he just wanted superheroes in it, and he wanted somebody who would be portrayed as his wife, and that's all. And I ran with it. I said, well, what's a better thing than just to have Marvel and DC characters together, all beat up one way or another, and Wolverine with his adamant, I can't even pronounce it right now. I'm getting tongue tied. Adamantium. Yeah, right. Which is impossible to break, and look at it's broke, right, and bent,
right,
and smoking. Thank you for not smoking, kind of deal. Just little humorous things here and there. Everybody loves this piece, and and I still sell prints of it today because it's my biggest selling print out of all my.
All right, so Kevin, promote it because you can buy it. What is it? How much is this? And give us your website.
I do have a store actually on my website too, kevinconradart.com. You can order directly from there with PayPal. If you're local, we can work out a way where you don't have to pay shipping. And we can find a way to get it to you. Otherwise, there's shipping included, and the shipping would be added if you go through the website.
Kevin Conrad, Kristen, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat, kevinconradart.com.
Yeah, or you can reach out to me at that same email. And we can, if you're local, and obviously you are local, I could find ways to get the prints to you to avoid any shipping charges. Prints, this is another print of mine here that I drew, penciled and inked, and I paid, majority of the stuff I paid professional comic book colorists to color them. But yeah, my prints, I sell my prints for $10 a piece. You can buy 2 for 15. You can buy 3 for 20.
And
And
this
you can see 'em all.
this is Moon Knight, who's going to have a show coming up, I believe, on Disney Plus.
I think
But
so.
a very
Yeah.
popular Marvel character, kind of a Batman meets Daredevil meets. I mean, he's kind of a cool, interesting character. But that's Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Let's see. This, I love this. This was another thing on your website you did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Spidey and Mysterio.
That's another print that I have available too.
And then let's see. We'll get to that in a sec. This
I
is
like
a
how-
commission,
I like
correct?
how in the last one, you added like the May Parker.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, right here. Great. Good job, Jared.
Yeah.
Gerard, right here, the grave. Very good eye, good detail. I think I talked about this with you last
You
night.
did. You mentioned that yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you. I could think. Did you clue him in on that, there, Brian?
I promise you I didn't.
Yeah.
Even though I know his dad, I promise you I didn't. This is another commission you did.
Yeah, that's a commission. Yeah, I designed the whole thing. I did not do I stole the logo off of Google. Google.
Yeah,
Image.
but
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 I
you-
added it, I printed it on the board. I did the border and I did the Ultimate Maniacs all in Photoshop, printed it out, and then I drew the characters on it.
now you colored these, right?
Yeah, that's colored with magic marker. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. All right, let's go through a couple more and then we're going to ask you some questions, get the audience involved. This is Spawn, who you did for Todd McFarlane, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. What a great comic Spawn is. Maybe when you're high schoolers, you all can read Spawn.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
If the kids are out there. Let's see. This is Kiss Psycho Circus, right?
Yeah.
You did the whole run of this, correct?
Yeah. I did the entire run. Yeah. 3 years.
Great.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons, of course. Justice League of America. You and I were trying to find out who on earth everyone else here is. We know this is Superman, Wonder Woman, one of the Lanterns, Flash, Batman, and I don't know who these other few are.
Yeah,
and I'm
they're Wildcats, and the only one that I can remember the name of is in the lower left. That's Grifter. The other ones I don't remember their names.
And Kevin, this is so cool to see your name at the bottom here. I love
right.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. This is you again, right? Hulk.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the Hulk, which we'll talk about in a second. Cable.
Wins. But
You're not loving this, are you?
yeah, that's fine. It's like it was a learning curve, man. Being back from
Yeah, but what's wrong with that, Kevin?
it's there's not enough
Time.
dynamics really for me in what I did with the inks.
Yeah, but
it's all to me it looks very one-dimensional.
that's also 30 years ago.
Yeah, and the colors don't help either, but yeah.
All right. So one of the surprises, Kevin, is let's do it now, and we're going to ask you questions as you're
Okay.
doing this. So Kevin is going to readjust his camera here, and as we're talking, Kevin, why don't you tell everybody what you're going to draw as we're sitting here and talking?
I'm gonna draw, I guess the Hulk. He's probably my favorite character to draw. And let me readjust this camera here.
Yep.
So
So Kevin is going to draw the Hulk. We are going to watch Kevin draw the Hulk.
when you can go ahead and talk.
Yep. Kevin, you're just drawing the Hulk. If you want to maybe aim it down a hair. Can everyone see that? I'm going to stop sharing. Sorry, guys.
All right, so I'm gonna do a little light pencil sketch with this, just to give I'm gonna do something a little different, Brian, than I did last night. I don't want to repeat what I did already.
Mhm.
So, and it's gonna be a little bit more of I guess a whole body, not a whole body, but somewhat. And
There we go. Can everybody see that?
so I just want to
Is
give
that the big? Can someone gives me a thumbs up or even say yes? Because I can't see everyone. Okay, you can just see what Kevin's doing here, right? Okay,
Yes, we can see that.
all right. Kevin, we may need a little more light.
Well, I can turn this thing on and tell me what it looks like. Ah,
Whoa, wait,
yeah.
that's better. Turn off the other light, the orangey light.
Okay, hold on. Well, my walls are orange, so that's probably
Oh.
why.
All right, see, this is live Zoom, right? It's like live television, live Zoom. This is a raw and uncut PTO meeting, people. Oh, that's even better. How about that snazziness?
How's that?
Yeah, slide over a hair to your left.
Let me
Okay. Can everyone see that good? I think that looks
let me
better.
try to, you know what, the camera actually fell. Let me do this.
I'm just fascinated that you can just do this from memory. Yeah, that's
How's
good.
that? All right.
Good.
Good.
So tell us what you're doing here, Kevin.
So I'm just gonna draw a dead-on shot of the Hulk looking very angry. Looking very like you don't want to cross his path, you know. The Hulk is probably one of my favorite characters to draw.
And Kevin, this is just from you can just do this.
Oh yeah, this is just this is right out of my head. So
And you
it's
can
not gonna
probably
be perfect. It's gonna be quick. Maybe a little pain.
And you can do this with most comic book characters, can't you? Just from memory.
Yeah. But he is my absolute favorite to draw. So you said you had some questions you wanted to ask?
Yes. We're gonna ask you some questions. And if anyone has a question, Gerard, do you want to ask a question? All right, let me unmute you here. Go ahead. You can ask Kevin a question. Whoops, unmute yourself. There you go.
Who do you think inspired you the most from Marvel Comics? Like Steve Ditko or Stan Lee?
How old are you, Gerard?
11?
Seriously, how old are you, buddy?
He's 11.
11.
He's a sixth grade.
You know who Steve Ditko is. And Stan Lee, I would obviously, yeah, because he's in all the movies, but Steve Ditko, holy cow. When I was your age, Spider-Man was my absolute favorite character. And I always thought Steve Ditko was ahead of his time. But when I was collecting, it was John Romita Sr. And he was probably my favorite comic book artist at the time. Him, John Buscema, his brother Sal. There's a number of them. Neil Adams, who's still active today. Sal Buscema is as well. So that's, there's so many. There are so many. Barry Smith, Gil Kane. Inker wise, some of my favorite inkers back then: Joe Sinnott, Claus
Joe
Jansen.
Sinnott.
Yep.
Who just died, I believe.
Yes, he did. That was very sad. Yeah, he lived a long life, but
yeah, he did a lot of Captain America.
Yeah. Also, Claus Jansen, Tom Palmer. There's probably some of my favorite inkers, from that era. And so yeah, that was a great question, and I'm super impressed that you mentioned Steve Ditko. He was definitely ahead of his time.
Christopher Pastor, do you have a question? You can unmute yourself. Whoever
yeah.
that is, I'm not sure if it's Chris. You can say your name and then,
Yeah, hi, I'm Rose. This is his daughter.
okay.
So how do you address the unnecessary sexualization of women in comics? Like, I've heard of some artists, I don't know, placing male characters in the same position that they place their female characters and seeing if it looks like, I don't know, weird to see them in that position. Like, from what I've seen you mostly draw male characters, like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I understand exactly where you're coming from with that, and it's unfortunately, women aren't my strongest to draw, and I do like if you go through my website and stuff, you'll see that I do draw women, and I don't believe I draw them as sexualized or sexualized at all compared to most of the people out there. I think it has its place. I don't, in adult themed comics, but in mainstream comics where younger, we're aimed for younger kids, I don't believe it has its place for male or female for that matter. I hope that answered your question in some degree. It's funny you mentioned that because I just saw something about what you mentioned about putting male characters in the same positions. And I just saw it the other day on Facebook and it looks pretty silly, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great question. Thank you so much. And Kristen had just said, if you don't want to come on camera or even ask the question, you can write your question in the chat and we'll ask it for you and Kevin will answer. Kevin Conrad here with us, drawing the Hulk. Andrea Piccolo, I hope I said your name right.
Who was your favorite X-Force character to draw?
Cable.
Oh, nice. I
Yeah,
really like
Cable. Hands down. Yeah.
Andrea, who's your favorite?
This is actually Stephanie, my daughter. She's an 8th grader.
Stephanie, who's your favorite?
I'm not sure. That's really hard, but I really like Cable.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Cable is really cool. I mean, and I love how they've portrayed him in the movie too.
Yeah,
cool
that's
character.
really good too.
Yeah. Good question.
Any other questions? I have a couple here as well, but if you want to ask Kevin, Gerard, we'll get to you in one sec. Let me see. Hang on a sec. Kevin, real quick, do you have to sometimes when you were doing this, you wanted to do this your whole life, you dreamt of doing this. When you were doing it, did you want to pinch yourself?
I'm telling you, it really was a very surreal thing when the first one, when I actually had editors I was dealing with and just the phone calls is like, I've got hotlines to these people at Marvel. And it was so surreal talking about pinching yourself. Yeah, it was when my first issue of X-Force came out, I was floored. I really was floored. I didn't even know how to process it at first, and to this day, I mean, you just can't lose that, that appreciation of the books and how it impacts, readers, other artists, that kind of thing. It's always been something that I'm always very, very cognizant about, very aware about, that I'm, I'll never forget, where I came from and, appreciate the people that appreciate me as an artist. It's really, for me, it's what it's all about, to do something you love, to be appreciated for it. And your work is there for posterity.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right, either Tarek or Tarek. My best friend growing up's name was Tarek, but this might be Tarek. And if I botch the name, please correct me. I apologize. Tarek says, who is the easiest character for you to draw? That's a loaded question.
The Invisible Girl.
There you ooh.
No. Honestly, you know what? It's funny, and I think it's because of the amount of time I was involved with the book and from conventions and shows, it's one of the most asked characters for me to draw is Spawn. And as detailed as his costume is with the chains and all the different apparatus around him and the, you know, and the bags on his legs and the spikes, and it's very involved. It comes very naturally for me because I've been doing it for so long. So that's probably, you know, I would say, yeah, I would probably say Spawn.
I love Spawn. Getting a lot of questions on the chat, which is great. Keep them coming. Kevin Conrad, he's doing Hulk right now. We got a couple surprises here, and then we're gonna get to the drawings a little bit later. Heather T. Actually, this is Quinn. Hello, Quinn. How are you? What was the most challenging skill to master in drawing? Great question, Quinn. So I'll read it again. Most challenging skill to master in drawing.
Consistency in everything that you do. You have to, and regardless of whether you're drawing, I don't know, a car, a person, you know, the people have to look, you know, like, you have to be able to know who you recognize, even without a costume, who that face is, panel for panel, page for page. So that consistency in your drawing is probably the hardest thing to master. And, you know, and I don't want to sound like I don't want you to think that I think I have, because I haven't, you know, and that's it. That's the goal is consistency, I think, for me.
It's interesting because, you know, right, you're rifling through the pages. I want my Hulk to look the same on every panel. And I never thought about that, but you're right. Tristan, do you ever draw characters from video games, books, or other franchises?
I have done some video, you know, strictly like on a commission basis where somebody will, you know, hey, can you, and it's been a likeness commission too. Somebody asked me, one in particular was, maybe somebody out there can help me because the name of the game escapes me right now, but the character is Ninetales. Does anybody out there know?
Ninetales, anyone?
League of Legends. Does that sound familiar to anybody out there? So anyway, I did a likeness of this guy wanted it as a birthday present for his wife. So I made her as Ninetales with another character that's very, you know, Hulkish looking character that's in the game too, behind her. And I've done some other ones like that.
You've done Walking Dead.
Yeah, I did. What's his name? The guy
Carl or Rick?
No, the guy with the bow.
Oh, Daryl.
Daryl. Yeah.
This is from Nate. Nate asked, did you always want to draw for Marvel or did you want to do something else?
Always. That was my goal as growing up. I said, I wanted to work for Marvel Comics. I wanted to draw for Marvel Comics. I wanted to be a Marvel artist. And I did. I got my my opportunity to be there. And ironically though, I started out at Marvel and I'm a Marvel boy. I did not collect DC Comics as a kid. I would buy the occasional Batman. My favorite characters for DC were Batman, Swamp Thing. Yeah, I wasn't really, and funny enough, I really was not a Superman fan, you know, and I didn't hate him. I just wasn't a super fan, you know, get it? But yeah, so he was, he was, I guess, a little too clean. I like the grittier. I always like the grittier stuff. That's why, and it's also really, honestly, who's drawn the books too, because a lot of times, I never bought a book collecting comics because of who wrote it. It was always because of who drew it.
Right.
And so my favorite artists, like again, Bernie Wrightson, who I didn't mention before, when I was a teenager, was drawing Swamp Thing. So I would buy Swamp Thing because he was one of my favorite artists.
And by the way, that question was not from Nate, it was from Lizzie. So my apologies on that one. Ben says, my 6-year-old brother Theo wants to know if you have ever drawn Iron Man.
Oh, yes, I have. And I actually have an Iron Man print.
Kevin Conrad art.com.
Yeah,
So you like Iron Man's fun to draw, right?
he's fun to draw. Yeah. Yep.
Gerard, you want to ask your question online here again? Or I'll unmute you. I know you had a question here in the chat. We'll let you ask it. It's okay.
Yeah. I asked, do you think any of the cartoons from like the 80s inspire you, like Skeletor and Spawn? They're kind of like the same a little.
The Spawn cartoon on the HBO series was great. It was amazing. I loved it. Unfortunately, with the Skeletor stuff, Gerard, that was, I was old for that, to watch that, and it wasn't something that at that time really interests me. I think the characters are great. Skeletor's an amazing character, and to draw him now, for me, I would love to be able to put my twist on that character, and because those are all kind of like tongue in cheek, little humor with those, with those, not the Spawn one, but the Masters of the Universe.
We call that 80s cheesy.
Yeah.
Right. Tariq, I hope I did not botch the name. I'm so
Tariq,
sorry.
maybe, is it?
Tariq. Tariq. One of those is probably right. How long have you been doing comics? Well, I mean, you've been drawing them since you were little.
Well,
we'll ask that from the non-professional level, then to the professional level. When did you do it as a pro?
I started in '93 professionally, and I did it through 2008 professionally, and not on a full-time basis, really, from 2006 to 2008, but I was still doing it. And since then, I mainly do just appearances, conventions, guesting at conventions, and commission work. Occasionally I'll do a cover or something like that for, what am I looking for? Like independent books, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So, but I haven't worked for Marvel or DC or Image for, quite some time, by my own choice.
Kotun asks, is it Nine Tails in Sonic? Maybe that was it. Sonic the Hedgehog, right?
It wasn't,
Does that
it wasn't Sonic, but it was Nine Tails, and it was a very large, beastly looking character. Large like the Hulk, mean looking like the Hulk, but furry.
This is Andrea. Was it Rose? I believe Rose was. I'm sorry if I'm getting the names botched. Who did you draw inspiration from when you were just starting to draw? And then part 2 is favorite materials to use when creating your art. Let's talk about your inspiration.
Okay. So again, my inspirations were all those artists that I've already mentioned: John Romita Sr., Bernie Wrightson, Gil Kane, John Buscema, Neil Adams, Gil Kane. So many. There's so there's so many to really in my era when I was a kid. Those are the ones that I really absolutely loved. And my favorite materials to draw is pencil.
Favorite materials to use when creating your art.
Pencils and paper. I generally use tech pencils like what you see here in this blue pencil. HB or a 2H lead. I have an HB and a 2H, depending on what I want to do. And my choice of ink is old school style black India ink with brush and quill. You dip it in and you make your lines. And those are my tools of choice. Color wise, what I do color wise, I don't do anything. I'm a dinosaur. I've been in, to do like digital coloring kind of scares me. I could probably learn it, but I prefer working with stuff in my hands on the paper, not on a screen. So I work with Prismacolor markers when I do my color work.
All right. Kristen, and do you have any formal art training or are you entirely self-taught? Great question.
So I would have to say I'm entirely self-taught as far as drawing. I did go to college for 2 years, JCA, Junior College of Albany, which is now known as Sage College. I went through an art program there with life drawing and all that kind of stuff. Problem was that school did not, at that time, I don't know if it does now, did not require a portfolio interview to get in. And, there was just people, I think, honestly, that were in the classes that thought that, you know what, I'll go to college. I'm going to go do art because that's easy, and they really, and all, most of them, not all of them. There were some very talented people where I was, but it was, they probably shouldn't have been there. So it wasn't a real art school, it was a college. So all
Right.
my instructors were like, you could be teaching this class, just, compete with me, the instructor would say, compete with me, not with your peers, that type of thing. So did I learn how to draw when I was in college? No. Did I learn some techniques and things to do and build my portfolio? Yes, I did. And that's how I immediately started getting work, is because they did help me build a portfolio to get, to get work. And I did, and I got work, right out of college, started getting commercial work, and it was profitable for me. I made some good money at it, and I made a career out of it, put it that way. So
Tarek, he told us pronounce his name. Who is the longest Marvel character you have ever drawn, and how long did it take? Who is the longest?
the longest, who took the longest to draw?
Yeah, who took the longest? What was, yeah.
Marvel. You know what? Thanks to Todd McFarlane and his revamping of Spider-Man with all that curly Q webbing.
So McFarlane did Spider-Man.
So McFarlane reinvented Spider-Man, and that's what made McFarlane rich. And he sold something like 4.5 million copies when they reran. They started Spider-Man again at #1, and he sold something like 4.5 million copies of the first issue. And that issue alone, with royalties, made him a rich man, and was able. That's how he and Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, they all were very popular, all did very well at Marvel, made some very good money, and formed Image Comics.
And then subsequently Spawn, right?
Yeah, he already had Spawn as a character that he wouldn't give to Marvel before that. So
now, most people, Todd McFarlane, you've probably seen, even the parents out there, you've seen the McFarlane toys. He has the very realistic looking action figures.
yeah,
He made a lot of money on those as well. And actually is Kevin has sort of parlayed that off. He does sports, he does action figures for sports, heroes. I mean, baseball players, football players. There's a whole McFarlane line of NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball, and I think hockey too. He's a huge name.
And if you knew nothing about comics or the toys back in the day, he became famous for that home run winning ball by, what was that baseball player?
Was it McGuire or Bonds?
Yeah, it was McGuire.
Yeah, the one that broke Babe Ruth's record. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, right, on that, or millions.
Like millions, I think.
Millions. Well, it was later. It was millions, right?
Yeah.
Good question here by Andrea. Have you ever created your own comic or character story?
Nothing Yes and no. Yes, I have nothing of any worth. You know, I do have, I always had a story, a plot. And I actually put it down on paper, like the first issue portion of it anyway. Always wanted to do something with it. And honestly, I never have. And I think at some point I probably will, you know, but right now, there's other stuff that's, you know, more pressing for my time, you know.
Somebody asking about, they're saying, is that from Naruto, that character you did? We're still trying to figure out that comic or whatever, that cartoon that you were.
Yeah, it was League of Legends. If you look up League of Legends, maybe if somebody,
League of Legends. Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. If somebody looks up League of Legends characters, you'll find that it's a very large hulking, and you can see the piece if you go to my Brian. I mean, if you go to my website and go to my commission page and just go through the pages, you'll see the piece, and maybe you can
Okay.
put it up on the screen.
Well, one of our, I'll do that in a sec. One of our surprises is the piece that Kevin is doing right now. He's going to give to someone out there. And if you have paid for the raffle and you're like, I want my child to be, don't worry, you can get this piece and you may be able to also win the raffle. So this is just like a little bonus for the kids. This is a little bonus and the adults. Kevin, you'll sign that when you're done, and we're going to actually give this. I'm going to do a drawing for this right now. And someone's going to win this. Okay. Does that sound cool? Everyone give me a thumbs up. Yeah. All right. I'll take the darn thing, Kevin, for God's sake. All right. So let me just make sure here. I'm going to share the page in just a minute because I want everyone to see the drawing as it happens. And it looks like
I'm pretty close to being done. So, I mean, it's gonna add a couple more tweaks here and there, but yeah,
I got to add one more person here. So Kevin, what your inspiration to draw this as we're watching, what was that? You just said, let's, I mean, where do you come up with the idea of what scene you're going to put him in or how he's going to look? Speaking of Hulk here.
You know, it's like, you know, okay, I'm under pressure here. What the heck am I going to do? You know what? All right, this is what I'm going to do. And it just, boom, you know, that's it. You know, that's, I had no real forward plan on what I was going to do for you guys. I just knew I wanted to draw the Hulk, and I can show you the other Hulk piece that I did while I was on the phone with you. A lot less to it than this one. It only took me, what did this, Brian?
You did
5 to 10 minutes for this one here.
Yeah,
it was
that was
five.
last night.
Yeah.
That was literally, he did that in 5 minutes. We did a practice for this Zoom, believe it or not, last night. That looks amazing. That is unbelievable.
Oh, thank you.
Unbelievable. All right. Let's quickly pop off this. And we're going to go to the raffle. Kevin, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 10.
7.
All right, 7. So can everyone see the spin wheel? Say yes. I can't see everyone. I can't hear anyone. Okay, everyone can see.
Yes.
All right, good. So he just said 7, right, Kevin?
I did.
Here are all the names. Whoops. Let me delete that. That was just me. Okay, we're going to shuffle it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, Kevin, you're going to say spin that wheel.
Spin that wheel.
Here we go. Wheel is spinning. This is for what Kevin is drawing right now. Rebecca Danza. You write this down. Is Rebecca there, or anyone from the Danza family? Rebecca? All right, maybe not. Rebecca, we're writing your name down. She wins Hulk 1, we're going to call that. All right. She's not eliminated from the big drawing. Kevin, while we're, let's see. Let's go back to you. Let's look at the final product. Wow. You just saw, look at the, I love the detail here.
Not quite
Unbelievable.
sketch, but yeah, loose, but
All right, this is, Kevin, hold the other one up for a sec from last night. We'll give this one away as well. Same thing.
can't get far enough away.
Here we go. Kevin, I need another number. 1 to 10.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Everyone see the names get moved. Spin it, sink off. Someone say spin it, sink off.
Spin it, sink off.
There we go. We're spinning it. Here's the winner. Craig Westfall. Craig Westfall is the winner of last night's Hulk. Those are just little bonuses for the kids and the adults. We have a couple of other questions. I'll get to them and then we'll, Gerard says, I actually own a comic by you.
Oh, cool.
Well, which one, Gerard? X-Force? Probably.
I don't know what issue it is, but it's called Casualties of War. It's with Cable.
Okay, yeah, I'd have to see at least the cover in order to have
Yeah.
an idea about that, but
Cool. And then, do you own any action figures of the characters you worked on?
no. Wait, I take that back. I have a lot of Spawn figures from the first run of toys.
Yep.
And I have the Kiss Psycho Circus and action figures from Todd. I have the ones that are actual likenesses of the actual members of the band from the Alive, the Kiss Alive from 76 or 75, I should say, and Creatures of the Night ones too. Yeah. So that's
By the
it.
way,
I don't have any other action figures besides those.
Kevin, a little personal side note regarding Kiss. You'll love this. I don't know if you know this story about me. My first concert ever, Kiss, 1978, Largo, Maryland, Capitol Center.
That's
79, the Dynasty Tour.
Okay, because I was gonna say my first was 78
Mine was 79.
for the Alive
Yep.
Alive 2 tour with the Love Gun stage, Springfield Civic Center. That's pretty cool.
I loved Kiss as a kid. Loved
Yeah.
Kiss. All right, we ready to do the drawing? Everyone ready? Here's the other thing. We got now 2 of the caricature drawings, or like the character drawings, not caricature. This ain't, there's nothing wrong with the county fair, but this ain't the county fair, people. We got 2 we're going to give away. Okay, so we already gave the 2 Hulks away. Now we're going to get back. We're going to do the big drawing. For the 2 drawings for your child to be with a superhero, I will show you, if you can see my screen, similar to this. In fact, let me show everybody this. You all can see. Let me take Kevin off here for a sec. There we go. Okay. So it would be this right here. This is similar to what we're doing here. All right. All right, Kevin, you're going to give me another number between 1 and 10. And I'm going to spin that wheel again. Let me share the screen for everyone. Okay, everyone's name is in here. We got 94 entries. We're going to do 9 again. You know what I'm going to do?
I didn't do 9 before. I did 7 and 4, I think it was.
Oh, right. All right. So I put all the names in alphabetical order. I reordered them. Now we're going to shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Make it
Should I
work.
spin it? What's that?
I'm gonna make you work for it. Spin it.
Here we go. Spin it. Here we go. This is for one of the commissions. Heather Troutwain, you got it. Heather is the winner. And if you win,
Thank you.
Heather, you want to comment? You want to say hello? You want to come on camera? You don't have to, but
We're eating dinner, but
that's, I hope we provided good entertainment.
both my
Awesome.
kids are, Quinn and Otto are here and they're very excited about this.
All right.
Thanks.
Awesome. Good to speak to you again, Heather. All right, Heather, we will remove you from the contest because obviously we don't want you to win again. So let's resort it. Another number, Kevin. Let's go 1 and 15. We're going to get crazy with the cheese whiz here.
I'm gonna make you really work then. 15.
All right, here we go. Everyone count with me. 1. Whoops, whoops. That doesn't count. This doesn't count. This does not count. I hit the wrong button. Does not count. Does not count. Sorry, Andrew. That was a mistake. Okay. Sort. Here we go. You all ready? 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Happy New Year. All right, here we go. We're going to spin the wheel. We ready? Spinning the wheel. Sean Taylor. Is there a Sean Taylor in the house? Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor is not in the house. All right. Well, you didn't need to be here to win. So Sean is still a winner. All right. Unless anyone has any final questions, you can ask them to Kevin. Kevin, I want to say 2 quick things. One, people could still go on your website, kevinconradart.com. If you did not win, you can purchase a piece of Kevin's artwork. You can also, you'll take commissions at this point, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. Kristen, thank you.
Yes, Kristen said thank you so much. And Kevin, on behalf of the entire Bethlehem Middle School, Bethlehem Central Middle School community and the entire Bethlehem community, heck, in the entire behalf of the entire capital region, thank you so much for joining us. You've been awesome to us. We really appreciate it. And you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it all. Looking forward to these commissions.
Great.
Thanks.
Kevin, thanks so much. And if you won, we will be in contact with you and explain how you can redeem your prize. We'll get you coordinated and hooked up with Kevin. So thanks so much on behalf of the entire Bethlehem Central Middle School PTO. I'm Brian Sinkoff. I hope everyone has a great night. Be safe out there, and we'll see you at our next PTO meeting, which is going to be in March.
Thank
Take
you so
care,
much.
everyone.
Take care.